Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Adrian Goss, who is a real estate agent and team leader of the Goss Group, serving California's Central Valley. Adrian is an Air Force veteran and resides in California with his wife and his 3 children. Under Adrian's leadership, the Goss Group focuses on integrity, communication, results, and assisting clients in both buying and selling. Adrian was honored as an eXp Realty Icon agent in October of 2024. Adrian, thank you for your service and thank you for joining me today to share a bit about your journey in real estate and your team and the technology that supports your business growth.
My
I would
pleasure.
like to take it back to the beginning and
Yeah.
go learn a little bit more about how you joined the real estate industry.
So, unfortunately, I don't have a super exciting real estate entry story. I probably, like a lot of people in this industry, my parents were in real estate. So, my dad was like a top producing lender for 30 plus years. He was kind of saw the big shift in here in the Bay Area of, real estate pricing going crazy. So he did really well in lending. My dad's actually fully retired now and he's like 62. So he did really well. My mom, she was a real estate broker. So she got into real estate sales probably 15 years into my dad's career. And she really kind of got into it around the crash. So she helped a lot of my friends, like while I was out in the military, she helped my friends pick up houses super cheap and really like set them up for success later in life. Not that it was on her, but she helped them and maybe pushed some people to go buy housing when it was kind of scary to buy real estate. So I went and did my time in the Air Force. I never really had a desire to get into real estate. I never was opposed to it either. I just never really knew what I wanted to do. So I went and did 4 years in the military. That was a really cool experience. I didn't love my day-to-day job in the military, but I really loved the experience. I got to live in England for a couple years. I was in Washington, D.C., Mississippi. So I got to meet a lot of cool people from all different walks of life, which certainly can help in real estate, right? We come across lots of different personality types and lots of different people from all over the world. So I think that helps me relate to people really easily. Um, as far as I kind of just dorked around trying to go to college, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I've known I'd always been a people person. I thought I might get into sales of some sort, but I just never really had like the focus on what I wanted to do. I met my wife going to college, so that was really awesome. That was a plus. And after some convincing, my mom basically said, "Hey, why don't you get your real estate license and see if you're any good at it?" So I was working at the golf course, the local golf course here, and I was working on getting my real estate license at the same time. And this was kind of when I felt like teams were becoming a thing. This was 2012, 2013. Real estate teams started coming up more frequently. So I kind of essentially worked as a buyer's agent for my mom. She would kind of kick me deals here and there. We would split it 50-50, and I was, pretty decent at it. So I think my first year of real estate, I think I did like 18 transactions or something like that. My second year kind of just kept getting a little bit bigger and better. And then after my second year, I kind of just separated from working with my mom to be kind of more of like a solo agent. She would still throw me deals here and there if she wasn't interested or if she maybe thought I was a better fit for the client. But ultimately, that was kind of where I went off on my own. When I started having kids, my mom was actually a broker owner. And I was working at her brokerage. And once I started having kids, we decided to like, let's have our businesses be separate because sometimes business and family can be challenging. So we decided just as a family decision to she work on her brokerage and I went other places. But I would say I started my real estate team probably 2 or 3 years ago, about 3 years ago. And it's always been kind of a small team. I've never really had the big desire to have a mega team or that doesn't entice me. I really just wanted to be able to help agents start out in a difficult career field and I wanted to have some leverage because I have 3 young kids. I didn't want to run around doing weekend appointments and evenings forever. I felt like I put my time in doing that and sacrificing weekends and evenings, but I wasn't willing to do it once I had my children. So I felt like I did my time of the hustling, and we still, do appointments in evenings and weekends, but I don't have to feel guilty about it anymore. So I was able to, give away some of my business to others and teach them, and it's just been a fun journey, and it's definitely been a blessing to me and my family. And yeah, it's been cool to get recognized as an icon. I'm looking at my icon trophies. My icon trophies from EXP, which is cool, and they set us up to make, income in other ways too, which is exciting. So yeah, it's been a great career so far. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens this year.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congrats on your success so far. And I'm curious. I saw the the award, but I don't know what it means. What does an icon award mean?
So an icon award pretty much is a production award. There are some other things that go along with being an icon agent, and they'll give you some rewards for tapping into the community. But essentially, you need to hit a certain amount of production, and it is easier to get icon once you have team members because they count those transactions as production as well. But I want to say it's about, in my area, if you can close somewhere in the ballpark of 25 to 30 units on your own, then you would be sort of considered an icon agent. I'm probably butchering the numbers, but it's somewhere around 25 to 30 units per year. And what they do is they incentivize you to get icon, and they give you a portion of your cap back in stock awards. So a portion of it is production, but then if you go to EXP events like EXP Con or a local rally, they'll give you a small bonus in stock awards. And then my favorite portion of the icon is when you just go and mastermind with other icons. We, teach each other stuff. If someone wants to learn how to be more listing focused, or maybe they want to learn client events, we go and brainstorm, just kind of like what we're doing here, but with 5 or 6 other icons, and then they reward us for just giving back to our EXP family. So I'm not all a diehard EXP. I think it's a great brokerage, but I'm not going to sell it to everyone. I don't think it's a great fit for everyone.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's great. That's great. So you mentioned it's a smaller team. Can you explain a little bit about the structure of your current team?
Yeah, so right now we have 3 agents. We have a transaction coordinator as well. The transaction coordinator is not set to just our team, so she works with other agents as well. But yeah, I've always just kind of enjoyed having a small group of people to pour into. I'm not so good on the admin side, hence the reason why I've hired you. But yeah, we just have always ran a small team, and typically the way our structure works is we normally do like morning huddles 3 times a week. That's kind of just to take accountability for our actions, answer any pressing questions, and I think ultimately, like, if you run into one issue in real estate, you're likely to run into it again. So we like to do everything on Zoom. So if Ben has a question, Yusuf can get the answer also. So I've always just liked the small, intimate group. I've never had a desire to have a big team, but I do like having leverage, and I do like helping new agents grow. So it's fun.
That's great.
And we are all male right now, so we might need some feminine blood. So if any ladies want to join the team.
Right. That's awesome. So, would you be open to sharing a bit about where you personally or where your team gets your business from, or what lead sources you also provide for your team?
Yeah, so I pretty much built my career on online leads. So, a combination of Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. I've found that in my area, we've had a really hard time converting on social media for whatever reason. Maybe it's just the length of the follow up. I've done Facebook, I've done Google PPC. Excuse me. But really, where I think my success came from mostly was Zillow early on, back when it was more affordable, more scalable. and before they got the direct to consumer, where the connections, I guess, is what they do now. So I always prided myself on having, like, I have to have the best Zillow profile. So have all my sales in there, have all my reviews. Like, if someone's gonna look at my profile, I want them to pick me over the other people. So that's how Zillow worked in the beginning. And that's really what I put my emphasis on, is if I'm gonna advertise with Zillow and I have to compete with other agents, then I need to have my online presence looking really good. And that's translated into really all of our profiles. You have to look good on Google. You have to look good on Homelight. You have to look good on Facebook. So having social proof that we're not knuckleheads, essentially, because I think a lot of people have bad perceptions of realtors. But if I have 120 reviews on my Zillow profile, all of them are 5 stars, and then I have one negative review, like the proof is in the pudding, right? There's 100 people that said we did a great job for them. There's got to be something to that. So the lead sources that we're very organic now. So I very much drive our team members to do social media content, open houses, because I think that's the best lead source right now. If you can get face to face with someone, that you're already ahead of the curve, because people like to work with people that they like and trust. And if you can get someone to like and trust you from an open house, that's a great avenue. We still do a little bit of Zillow, but I think, as everyone knows, Zillow is not as scalable or as affordable as it once was for people who are paying for Premier. As far as other lead sources, we do get leads through homelight.com, which is a great referral base. So if you're a new agent that's looking to get some leads, like, go hit up Homelight. You're going to have to work for it, of course, just like any other lead source. But I would say, as far as lead sources that we're providing for team members, PPC, Zillow, as well as like Homelight and other referral type websites.
And then for supporting those lead sources in your follow-up, what technology do you use as far as like your CRM and your website?
Yeah, so we use a Ylopo website. We use Follow Up Boss for our CRM. And then we have some other tools that we use. I'm a big fan of Fellow. So I am mostly a listing agent at this point. I'm still in production fully. I don't ever plan on getting out of production because I still like selling. And again, I don't really want to be a mega team or anything like that. So we use Fellow for seller nurtures. That's kind of like, if you don't know what Fellow is, it's like an advanced home bot, I guess is the best way to put it. If you don't know what HomeBot is, it's like a monthly home valuation. Fellow is just a little bit deeper. It does have some other touch points and some other avenues to get leads as well. I really like it for mailing though. So like, if you're doing mailers, I just do a QR code. Hey, scan the QR code for an instant home value. That's been really effective for us. So Fellow, Follow Up Boss, and then a Ylopo website. The Ylopo website, I've used them as long as I've had Follow Up Boss, so 5 or 6 years, and they're really good at getting people back on your website through retargeting, and I believe that they have really good property emails to get people back on your website so you can stay top of mind. It also gives us a little nudge to reach out to those people. So behavioral emails, it lets you know who to follow up with when it's appropriate, based on the buyer or seller's behavior. So that's kind of our tech stack. Follow Up Boss, and then of course we have Elena, who has mastered our Follow Up Boss for us through really great drip campaigns and smart emails. And I think you got some cool stats too from our profile.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive into that in a little bit. So whenever I wrote down a bunch of notes. I don't even know where to begin. So whenever you use the mailers out of Fellow, do you send those out yourself, or does Fellow create those for you?
I believe Fellow might have a mailing option. I haven't personally used it. What I've typically done is I actually just do like a flyer type mailer. I normally will mail out to just my local town. I work in a really, really small town, so we have about 30,000 people here. So after 10 or 11 years of working here, there's typically 2 or 3 big dog realtors in one small town. My competitors are much older than me, so they have the word of mouth, and they've just been there forever. So I need to figure out how to get a piece of their business or the leftovers was kind of how my thought process was. So as far as mailers, I just do like a mailer that kind of caters to different personality types. So sometimes I'll send like something that's really pretty that will appeal to the cosmetic person that, will show some of my reviews, show some of our track record, but make it look really nice through like a Canva flyer. Then I'll send something more along the lines that for like an analytical person, someone who wants to maybe know data with what's going on with the market. So I'll send like basically a market update just in writing. And then we'll just throw a little QR code at the bottom that says scan here for an instant home value. And it's like, no pressure, no obligation. They do have to put in their phone number and email, but like, hey, we're providing value. We want something in return. Go ahead and put a fake number in if you don't want to be called.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we've used. And Fellow was awesome too, in that I think I got a closed sale within the first 6 weeks of having Fellow, which I mean, I know lead gen. It's really hard to get ROI the first month of doing anything, except for maybe Zillow or something like that. But for me, I was like, okay, well, I can afford to pay for these guys for the next year and a half off this sale. And then we ended up double ending that transaction with one of our team members. So I was like, all right, we're keeping Fellow regardless. And yeah, we've had several closings since. We've been with Fellow for about a year, and they've been a really awesome product, and they provide really excellent training if you want to tap into that.
That's great. And then you use Ylopo for your website and
Yep.
remarketing. Do you also use any other tools that they provide?
Ylopo, I haven't been as engaged with my Ylopo. I know they're providing a ton of tools that I'm not taking advantage of. I've just been really content with where we're at on the website side. I think ultimately their job is to get people back on my website, and that's what they've been doing. And I know they are offering more tools now than probably ever. And I just honestly, I feel like I have enough technology. We're not really trying to scale this team massive, so I'm not trying to add every bell and whistle. I actually think that can be really distracting
Yeah.
sometimes. The
Yeah.
shiny object syndrome is real in real estate, y'all. So be careful. And when you find something that works for you, stick with it and be consistent. And that's my philosophy in real estate is you got to do the boring stuff over and over and over again to have any type of success. So we found our tech stack that works for us. Should I probably engage more with Ylopo and what they're offering? Yes. So maybe you've motivated me to go chat with my account rep, but I've heard really good things about Maverick.
Yeah, for sure. There was a video I watched from Alex Ramosi, and he was saying you have to do the same thing 100 times until you make $1 million before you try to do something new. I'm susceptible to that too, even just as like someone who I'm not nearly as bad as a lot of other people, but just as serial entrepreneurs who have so many ideas and you want to do something different. But once you start to try something different, that distracts you from your main business, and then you don't make as much money with your primary goal. So have to do
Well,
that
I
first
hear that
thing.
all the time about phone calls, right?
Yeah.
They're like, well, I don't want to make phone calls. I want to do it a different way. And I'm like, cool. Like, I'm all for you doing something different, but show me what that is. What's the plan? And have you ever even made phone calls consistently in the first place to be able to say that you don't like them? I get that no one likes them. They're not fun, but they're effective and they lead to appointments, and appointments lead to contracts, and contracts lead to paychecks. So you got to do some of the boring stuff. And if you do want to be creative and do other versions of lead generation outside of phone calls, then show me the data, because I can show you my 10 years of data of phone calls and my closings. Where's yours? So,
Mhm.
and we have those conversations with some of our team members sometimes. Like, if you want to do an open house every day, I'm all for it. But don't be telling me you don't want to make phone calls and then do 2 open houses a month.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you at this point are doing really well with Fellow.
Yeah.
You're enjoying Ylopo. You've got Follow Up Boss. You have a really good success rate with Zillow. What then made you decide to get outside help with Follow Up Boss if you've been doing so well with these technologies and lead sources.
Sorry, what was that? The last question?
What led you to kind of seek outside help with Follow Up Boss since you've been doing so well with these lead sources?
Um, Honestly, when we hired you on, I want to say it was right around the time I was creating a team. And it was also 2021, so we were all making a ton of money. I felt like Follow Up Boss was a great tool, but I felt like the built-in drip campaigns were just super generalized. And I'm not trying to bash on, I think they're better than most CRMs, auto emails that they set up, or at least they provide you with some emails, which is cool because some CRMs are like, hey, you're on your own. You need to create your own drips. And I had heard from one of my buddies who I was actually a coach at the time, and one of my coaching students put me onto you. And he's like, you need to check out Elena Kee. And it was Jim Hayden. And so he hooked me up with you. And I think I had like a quick Zoom meeting. And I think I did a little bit of research on lab coats or something. And there was just a massive amount of people saying that you do a great job. So I wanted to get off of more of the generic emails. I was also not seeing a lot of responses. Not that we're going to see a massive amount of responses from a drip campaign, but we weren't getting much of anything. So I just wanted to see some improvement on that. And there was clearly a mass of big fans of yours that had great things to say. And you basically said, hey, we're going to get your buyer and seller emails much better than they are now. And you also had a bunch of stuff set up within the automations that I just don't know how to work. My brain does not work that way. In the puzzles are not my thing. My wife's the puzzle person. And yeah, I was just looking to do anything and everything to grow and scale at that point in time in my career. And so we got introduced to you, and everyone had said great things. And so you're also like super reasonably priced.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And so I'll share stats in just a second, but I know that
Sure.
we implemented the setups back in the middle of 2022. What has the adoption been like with the rest of your team? Have they been using Follow Up Boss and utilizing the lists, making their calls, and like is the expectation for them to also use Follow Up Boss?
Absolutely. Essentially, if it's not being done in the CRM, it's not being done. I don't care if you're calling people on your cell phone. That's cool if you want to do that. I don't recommend it. If I have a Follow Up Boss phone number, why not utilize it? Basically, because I can't give any feedback to someone if I can't see it on the CRM. And if it's not being tracked in there, if your appointments, phone calls aren't being tracked within Follow Up Boss, how can I as a team leader give you any type of advice on what to do or what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong? Because we're not just here to bring on negative stuff to agents. Like, we want to give them praise too when they're doing things right. And yes, so I've basically drilled in their heads, probably too much so, that Follow Up Boss is where we make phone calls, and that's where everything goes. And so if I see someone putting notes in called from cell, what happened in the conversation? Where did it lead? Did we change the stage? So yes, the expectation is absolutely everything needs to be in Follow Up Boss. And do every team member make their calls? No. But we've made it really easy for them when they choose to call the right people. I love the smart list because I know when I was a young agent and maybe not working within Follow Up Boss, I had a bunch of leads, but I didn't know really who I should be calling. And that was probably one of the biggest, like, outside of the emails are great, but your smart list and the way you structure it is super smart and super simple. And I think we overcomplicate this industry. Like I said, just do the boring stuff over and over again. But your smart list structure makes doing the boring stuff easier, and it takes the thought process out of it. I love just going down like, hey, new leads, oh, none. Hot leads, boom, back to website. Back to website, guys, is the best smart list out there too. If you're not going back to your website smart list, you're missing out on money.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. All right, let's get into some stats here because
Cool.
This is one of my, I liked going through this. It was one of my favorites. Okay, so we implemented the setup in the middle of 2022. So how many years is that? Three and a half. So for the remainder of 2022 compared to the beginning of 2022, the calls made in Follow Up Boss went up 5%. Appointments set in Follow Up Boss went up 16%, and the percent of leads responding to email went up 53%.
That's crazy.
At this point in 2022, had you formed your team?
I don't know if I could really even call it a team. 2021, I had one agent that worked with me, and that's when I was kind of trying to create the team. We had added a couple other people that weren't great fits, but really I had basically one producing buyer's agent, and it was me as like a heavy listing agent in 2021. And then that kind of went through till about halfway through 2022, and then the market kind of drastically cooled off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was about the time. 2021 is when I kind of started the team thought process. And 2022 is probably when the execution probably became better.
Yeah. So now 2023, the way that the comparison works in Follow Up Boss is now we're comparing this year versus the previous year. So we're comparing 2023 versus 2022. The appointments set in Follow Up Boss went up 80% compared to 2022. The average call attempts went up 34%, and then the number of leads responding by email went up 39% compared to 2022. So call attempts probably went up due to the smart list and that infrastructure.
Sure.
And then 2024 appointment set still went up another 5% compared to 2023, and the leads responding still went up another 52%. So that's pretty cool. That went up another 50% compared to the previous year. And then overall engagement rates, I pulled just a couple of stats here. You have a buyer lead action plan for leads not reached. It has a 75% engagement rate, which means either a lead is responding to the text, to one of the emails, or an agent has reached the lead themselves. The home valuation action plan, so this is a lead requesting a home value report, has an 82% engagement rate, which is outstanding. General seller inquiry action plan has 67%. You have some cash offer leads that has a 70% engagement. Your Zillow plan has an 86, which is awesome. And then back to website, that's for like older leads, like never reached, coming back, has a 36% engagement.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
That's pretty awesome.
On your end, not us.
No, it is on you too, because it's a combined effort of the people either responding to the drip or responding and being reached via phone call.
I just didn't want to sound prideful.
There you
I want
go.
to give you props.
I appreciate that. Here's just a couple of examples I pulled just right before our call. These are leads that were responding directly to a drip campaign. So this lead came from Fellow. They responded to, it's a little bit small. Let me zoom in a little bit. This lead responded to the initial text message after they requested a home value report, saying they planned on selling their home. They were searching for a realtor to work with. You immediately called 2 times. They answered your second call. You set the appointment, and then you listed their house and sold it 3 months later. So that's kind of like best case scenario there.
Yeah, like slam dunk type lead right there, right?
Another one's kind of another slam dunk. They responded immediately after the initial auto text, another Fellow lead. So kind of to your point that Fellow has paid for itself.
Totally.
Another inquiry for home value report. You called, set the appointment, listed the house, and sold 5 months later. This lead came in from an open house, responded to the initial text, and closed 1 month later. So they were very ready.
Yeah. Proof that open houses can be the best lead sources right there.
Yeah, for sure. This was my favorite. This is not a slam dunk. This one came through HomeLight as a seller lead, responded to the initial text. They initially responded saying they wanted to sell as is. They did speak with you. You had a couple of conversations, but then they decided they wanted to to list with someone else. I think they actually ghosted you. They didn't tell you.
They
But
totally ghosted me.
yeah, and you just saw that they listed on MLS. And so you just put a note and you started that they listed. You kept an eye on it and you noticed how many days it had been on the market. You put a note, it had been on the market for over 70 days. After they ghosted you and they put it on the market, you decided to put them on the nurture campaign anyway. You continue to keep an eye on it. And 1 year, almost 1 year later, you ended up reconnecting with this lead. You reconnected with them, you had a phone call, you set an appointment, and you listed with them, and then you sold it almost 1 year to the day that you originally spoke with the lead. So that is a testament not only to the drip, but just to your persistence, and that really there's not going to be a magical drip campaign that converts a lead, but it's a
Totally.
combined effort that you need to have persistence and combined effort of those automations for sure.
What's the saying? The fortune's in the follow-up, right?
Yes, 100%. Adrian, I have one final question for you as we
Sure.
wrap up, and you might have to think about this one. It's a little bit off topic,
Sure.
but I'm putting you on the spot.
Let's go.
I'd love to hear of some strategy or tip that you've implemented in your business over the past several years or recently. It doesn't have to be specific to Follow Boss or technology, just something you've implemented that's had some type of impact. It could be an impact on lead management, client retention, repeat referral, or overall business growth. What is something that you've implemented that you'd be open to sharing?
My my answer to this might not be what you'll think, but I think in the first, this would be a message to like probably most newer agents or someone that's really trying to grow, is sometimes not always being available for everyone is the best tactic. And I'm not necessarily in a production or closing, but like for your peace of mind. And you have to take care of yourself first and foremost before you can take best care of your clients. And I just see it all the time where, I'm out to lunch with a buddy, a realtor buddy, and it's like, "Ooh, I got to take this call." I'm like, "Dude, you can't just sit here for 45 minutes uninterrupted. Like, we're just having lunch." Like, you could literally just shoot them a text and say, "Hey, I'm in an appointment," or "I'm grabbing lunch. I'll call you when I'm out." I think sometimes being available to your clients all the time can be a red flag for your business too, because do you really want to work with someone that's always available? If you're working with a good, competent agent, they're going to have other listings, other buyers, other clients. They have a family, they have a personal life. So my tip would be is don't take every phone call, don't respond to every text, and take care of yourself and your health before you worry about every freaking phone call that comes in. And sometimes being unavailable makes you look better. Like if you called your doctor right this moment, and I hate when realtors compare it to doctors because we're not on the same playing field, but if you were to call a dentist, attorney, doctor, which we have earning capabilities of those professions, are they going to answer their freaking phone or respond to a text? No, you don't even have their phone number, probably, unless you're been sued a lot. Maybe you have your lawyer's number. But stop being so available for everyone all the time.
Yeah,
That's what would be my tip. And
no,
I don't
yeah,
know if
I
that answers
100%
your
agree.
question, but that's something that I'm very passionate about is you got to take care of yourself. And if you work 80 hours a week, you're going to get sick. You're going to hate the job. You're going to burn out and you will be less productive in the long run.
Yeah, and it's going to spread out into the rest of your life, not just your business, but your personal
Totally.
life.
Yeah. If your wife and your kids are being neglected because of your business, like what's the point of making all the income, right?
Yeah, there's no point if you don't enjoy your life.
Totally.
Yeah.
That would be my tip for people who are still on the rat race. And there's a time and a place to be productive and put your head down, but learn how to be more efficient
Yeah,
and fit
that's
it into
great.
a regular work day. Like we don't need to work 12-hour days. And I hate that we take so much pride in that as a industry. Like I've seen people posting and bragging about showing property on Christmas. Like that's embarrassing to me. I would never ever brag about that. Like, oh, I neglected my kids on Christmas to maybe make a sale. Screw that.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Adrian,
Yeah,
for all your time today and for sharing your journey. And it was so awesome to hear everything. So I appreciate your time and all of your tips and that little tidbit at the end.
yeah, you got it. Thanks for having me, and thanks for making our systems rock. You're awesome, and your staff is awesome too.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, they're an incredible team for sure.
Very good. Well, have a great day, and I look forward to chatting with you the next time.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.
All right, bye bye.